Man, Cowboys Nation, the second that clip hit the timeline, you could almost feel the temperature rising around this matchup. It was supposed to be just another routine media moment. One of those harmless pre-game questions about what changed since the season opener, but the way the Philadelphia quarterback answered, brother. That thing landed like a slap across the star on the helmet. It had that tone, that delivery, that empty confidence that just drips disrespect without even trying, and in Dallas, that kind of energy never goes unnoticed. The question was simple: what's different about their team now compared to that first showdown, a pregunta mais basic do mundo? But instead of giving anything meaningful, he just leaned back with that bland stare and let out a line that sounded like it was pulled straight from a rehearsed script. He said they won then and they win now. Como se faz uma lei da natureza? Como se nada tivesse mudado? Como se o time de Dallas faz exatamente o mesmo grupo? Que de su oportunidades escaparam naquele primeiro encontro, and that right there was the spark. Because if tem algo que es time lembra, e que aquele jogo no foi dominado por ninguém, foi decidido por detalhes que mudaram completamente destintado. What made it even worse was how unnatural his delivery felt. It had that stiff, monotone cadence, like he was flipping through a mental Rolodex of pre-approved quotes. Instead of sounding confident, it sounded artificial. Instead of sounding like leadership, it sounded like someone trying to act like a leader. And you could practically see the wheels turning in his head while he searched for some polished phrase to throw out. That kind of posture never inspires a locker room, especially not one filled with big personalities and outspoken competitors like the group he plays with, while he tried to sound like a calm, composed veteran. The whole thing came off forced, almost like he was pretending to be a character he thinks a franchise quarterback is supposed to be. Meanwhile, in Dallas, the energy is the opposite. It is raw. It is real. It is built on weeks of momentum, adjustes, crecimiento, and a defense that finally looks like it found its identity. Nobody on this side needs to act like anything. They just play. They just respond. They let the field do the talking. And the truth that nobody wants to admit on the other side is that their offense has been slipping. The spark isn't there. The rhythm is off. The production looks nothing like the early hype. En cuanto eso, Dallas está crescendo nos dois lados da bola. The pass rush is heavier. The coverage is tighter. The offense is sharper, and the chemistry is obvious. So when the Philadelphia quarterback steps up and pretends everything is exactly the same as week one, that doesn't land as confidence. It lands as denial. Torcedores de Dallas no esquecem as chances que escaparam naquele primeiro confronto. They remember the near touchdowns, the missed timing, the ball that slipped at the wrong moment, the plays that could have rewritten the whole afternoon. It was not dominance, it was opportunity wasted, and when someone brushes that off as if it was all casual, like the outcome was inevitable, that becomes instant fuel. It becomes motivo. It becomes aquele de tal emotional que vira musical no vestiario. Even the vibe of his full answer didn't help him. When he tried to elaborate, instead of showing personality, he doubled down on that flat, distant delivery. It is almost like he straight up avoids sounding human. He avoids sounding fired up. He avoids sounding like someone living in the rivalry. He wants to come off like this mysterious, composed athlete, but it ends up feeling empty. And you know what makes it worse? When players on his own team show more passion in one frustrated sideline moment than he shows in an entire press conference. Dallas doesn't need fake mystery. Dallas doesn't need robotic quotes. Dallas moves with authenticity, calm energy, with something real behind each word. So hearing the other side talk like they're reading an inspirational caption from some forgotten app only cranks the dial higher. For this matchup, it becomes personal. It becomes a challenge. It becomes a moment to prove that week one was not a preview. It was an accident. And now that the rematch is coming inside a stadium where the crowd shakes the foundation, where the energy vibra, no pedo, where players feed off every roar, that little comment from the Philadelphia quarterback becomes more than a sentence. It becomes a trigger. It becomes a reminder. It becomes that small spark that lights up an entire week of preparation. Because this is not the same Dallas team from that opener. The trenches are tougher, the secondary is sharper, the offensive timing is cleaner. There is a different mood, a different posture, a different edge. Isso fica claro nas últimas semanas. So when someone stands in front of a microphone and pretends nothing evolved, it shows just how disconnected he is from the reality of what's waiting for him. Now, and that disconnect, that fade, that rehearsal-style confidence, that is exactly the kind of thing that Dallas loves turning into motivation. This rivalry was already electric, but now, depuis dessa fala engraçada, it gained a new layer. It gained a new spark. It gained that final piece of ignition heading into a matchup that is about to explode. Man, Cowboys Nation, once that comment started echoing across social feeds, it became crystal clear that the atmosphere around this rematch had officially crossed into another universe. You could almost sense every Dallas player, every coach, every fan letting out that slow exhale that says, "All right, so this is what we're doing now." Because when a rival steps up and speaks like the past doesn't matter, and the present can't touch them, that's the kind of thing that pushes a game from important to personal, and this one is about as personal as it gets. What makes the whole thing even wilder is how detached the Philadelphia quarterback sounded. When he tried to expand on his first answer, he repeated that same monotone vibe, that same overly controlled demeanor. Almost like he was afraid of showing emotion, he kept talking about how their team is always competitive. Como se estives dando uma palestra corporativa num salão vazio. It didn't sound like rivalry. It didn't sound like fire. It didn't sound like someone gearing up for a heavyweight showdown in Arlington. It sounded like someone checking boxes, and that is the exact opposite of what this matchup demands, because when you step onto that field in Dallas, you don't get to be neutral. The rivalry won't let you. The crowd won't let you. The moment won't let you. Every snap is charged. Every possession feels like a punch or a counterpunch. And that's why this whole command cold routine rubs people the wrong way. It comes across like someone pretending not to feel pressure. Instead of someone embracing the challenge, it feels like a mask, not a mindset. And when you're walking into a stadium where the home team is ready to hit the gas for full quarters, that mask won't protect you from anything. Dallas is stepping into this game with a version of the defense that didn't even exist in the opener. The interior rush is heavier, the linebackers are faster to trigger. The edges are hunting with a different kind of timing. You can see the evolution on film. You can feel it in the swagger of the unit. They're not just reacting anymore, they're dictating. And that's the type of shift that completely rewrites the narrative of a rematch. When a defense starts playing on instinct and chemistry, instead of hesitation, everything changes. Gaps close faster, throws shrink, pocket time evaporates, and that's where the Philadelphia quarterback's comments really start to feel disconnected from reality. Because the struggles on their side of the ball aren't subtle, they aren't hidden. They aren't something that film can disguise. The offense has been sputtering, drives keep dying, red zone efficiency is dropping, timing with receivers looks off. And for someone to stand there and pretend nothing changed since week 1 feels like denial at best, and misplaced confidence at worst. Meanwhile, Dallas has been using every week since that opener to grow. You can see it in the timing between quarterback and receivers. You can see it in the physicality of the run game. You can see it in the confidence the young players bring when they rotate onto the field. This isn't the same team that let crucial opportunities slip through their fingers. This is a team that feels like it has something to prove and finally has the tools, rhythm, and momentum to prove it. And that's why his answer hit such a nerve. Because Dallas remembers exactly how close that first game was. They remember the 1 yard that wasn't reached. They remember the ball that bounced at the wrong moment. They remember the plays that changed the flow in ways that had nothing to do with being outmatched. When you walk away from a game like that, you store it, you keep it, you save it for later. And now later is arriving under the bright lights of Arlington. The Philadelphia quarterback tried to present himself like some calm, untouched figure who sees the game from above the clouds. But that act doesn't work when your offense has been grinding gears for weeks. That act doesn't work when your star receivers have shown frustration on the sidelines. That act doesn't work when the defensive front has been carrying the team while the offense tries to rediscover its identity. And it certainly doesn't work when the opponents you're about to face have been sharpening their blade every single week since they last saw you. And let's talk about that vibe again. The reason it comes across so wrong is because rivalries like this are built on raw emotion, on truth, on fire, on presence. When a player steps up to the mic and sounds like he's reading a script, it just makes everything worse, because it feels like he's disconnected from what this game actually represents. Dallas doesn't step into this rivalry lightly, never has, so when someone from the other side tries to float into it like it's nothing, that's when the noise gets louder, the stakes get heavier, the players get sharper. The funny thing is that the rest of the Philadelphia roster doesn't operate like that. They play with emotion, with energy, with explosiveness, but when your quarterback is up there giving answers that sound almost automated, it creates this weird mismatch. And mismatches like that start to matter when the pressure hits, because players feed off energy. Teammates feed off real emotion. And when your leader speaks like someone trying to imitate composure instead of embodying it, you lose that spark. Dallas, on the other hand, has embraced the opposite. Their quarterback is playing with confidence not because he's pretending, but because he's executing. The team feeds off that. You see it in the chatter between drives. You see it in the way the younger players look at the veterans. You see it in how the sidelines react when the momentum swings. There's something genuine in the way this Dallas team carries itself. And genuine beats artificial every single time. So when that quote came out, talking about winning then and winning now, forgetting context, ignoring growth, pretending nothing shifted, all it did was underline the disconnect. All it did was remind Dallas that the other side still doesn't understand what's about to hit them. Because this isn't week one. This isn't the same roster. This isn't the same energy. This isn't the same execution. And walking into a game like this with the attitude that nothing change might be the biggest mistake Philadelphia could make. Dallas has been waiting for this rematch, not quietly, not passively. They've been tightening every screw, adjusting every detail, cleaning every mistake. And now comes a game in their house, with their fans, with their momentum, with their confidence surging at the exact right moment. That calm, robotic answer from the other side, it didn't intimidate anyone. It didn't impress anyone. It didn't shake anyone. All it did was add fuel. And that's the thing about rivalries like this. Sometimes the spark doesn't come from the field. It comes from a microphone. And now Dallas walks into this matchup carrying not only preparation, not only momentum, but a little extra edge handed to them on a silver platter by the guy who should have known better. And once the whistle blows, once the pads collide, once the noise hits that level where you can feel it in your ribs, that little comment is going to echo again, not as confidence, but as motivation for the team wearing blue and silver. Before we roll on, subscribe to Cowboys Wire News, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Your support keeps the Dallas Cowboys updates coming. Tell us what you think in the comments. The NFL world is buzzing with one of the most shocking rumors of the year. Dak Prescott, the longtime face of the Dallas Cowboys, has reportedly confirmed his departure from the storied franchise. Sources close to the situation suggest that negotiations behind the scenes reached a tipping point, leaving Prescott and the Cowboys unable to find common ground. For a team that has leaned on Prescott's leadership and arm strength for nearly a decade, this development is sending shockwaves through fans, analysts, and even players across the league. Speculation is already running rampant about where Prescott might land next. Several contenders, with cap space and a desperate need for a franchise quarterback, are said to be circling, ready to make a pitch that could shake up the NFC and possibly the entire league. Could he head to a team with an elite receiving corps looking to finally contend? Or will a rebuilding squad gamble on his experience to fast-track a turnaround? The possibilities are endless, and the intrigue is palpable. Meanwhile, Cowboys supporters are left grappling with the reality of a future without the quarterback, who has been central to their identity. Social media has erupted with mixed reactions, some expressing disbelief, others mourning the end of an era, and a few daring to speculate about the team's next moves. Within the locker room, whispers of tension and uncertainty are reportedly circulating, as teammates try to come to terms with the potential departure of the player, who has been both a leader and a symbol of resilience. NFL insiders hint that this could trigger a domino effect across the league, with teams shifting strategies and reassessing quarterback situations in response to the seismic news. Analysts are debating the long-term implications. How will this affect the Cowboys' draft plans? Which teams could emerge as frontrunners to sign Prescott? And most importantly, how will this alter the balance of power in the NFL's competitive landscape? While nothing is officially confirmed beyond the whispers, the atmosphere is electric. The drama surrounding Prescott's exit promises to dominate headlines, fuel trade rumors, and ignite passionate debates among fans and pundits alike. In a league where superstar quarterbacks define eras, the potential end of Prescott's tenure in Dallas could mark one of the most talked about moments in recent memory, leaving everyone eager to see the next move in this high-stakes saga. That's a wrap from Cowboys Wire News. For breaking Cowboys updates, subscribe, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Tell us your take in the comments.